Okay, so Dragonfly 5 Pro, brand new on the market. We're going to basically show you how to fit it into the Thresher. On the Thresher, obviously, you have this lovely pod. Okay, so we're going to modify this pod. Well, not modify, we're going to drill this pod so that we can fit the Dragonfly into it. First of all, you get the SD card. The SD card has your maps on it. It goes with a free essential one. There are various upgrade options which I'll go through a bit later on. You need to unlock it before you can use it, so as I say, I'll show you later. You have your manual, you have your serial number labels, and also your Wii fish, as they call it, the SSID and password to enable you to connect up to it. We'll go through that a bit later on. Here we have the head unit. Obviously, being the 5 Pro, it's a 5-inch string. Simple buttons, very simple buttons. On the back you have the mount, the actual connector, and then there's the slot you can put the SD card into. So we put that back in the bag so we don't damage it. At the bottom of this we have there's the transducer. Obviously it's not a through hole. You possibly can modify it, but we'll go into that later on if we can. You have your various leads. There's your fly leads to connect to your battery, and then there's your waterproof plug that connects to the back of the unit. You also have the various mounts that you require to fit the various bits and pieces, the nuts, bolts, and the washers. The big gland, because it's on a swivel mount. There's the mount itself. The various bracketry, a ferrule, and there's the ball end. So basically, this ball fits into the socket, and then that screws down. So that basically becomes your mount, and then your unit fits to that. It's obviously it's a ball and socket joint, so you get some movement out of it, left and right, bit of adjustment, get it out of the sun, etc. if you need to. So we need to mount that somewhere. Obviously, don't get that many options here, so going to have to be onto that base there, I would assume. We'll position that there. On the unit, that ball, obviously, if you look on the bottom, there's 3 feet. The 3 feet lock into there, and then there's the various bits and pieces to screw up. So, right, in the bag you'll find obviously the ball joint, an Allen bolt. Put the Allen bolt into there. Get the nut. Make sure you do this, because if you don't get the nut, you'll have to undo it all again. Drop the ball in, so the ball end is in the nut, and the Allen key is in there. Okay, so making sure the 3 pins align. Do it up. Okay, tight, not over tight. It is plastic, you can crack it. Not too tight. Okay, show you how it fits together. You screw that into there. That will locate the nut. That will locate the ball. Okay, so that's how it's going to sit, like that. Probably about the right position as well, that's good. Okay, so mounting this in the kit, you get 3 bolts, 3 washers, 3 nuts. Okay, the bolts go quite considerably through, depending on what you're going through. On this one, it's quite thin, so you want to go. You can cut them down if you need to. Also, because it's fairly thin plastic, I'm going to put a backing plate. For me, is a bit of off-cut perspex, or this stuff is actually a red perspex. So we're going to cut a triangle out, spread the load, so that I can mount through it, drill it in the right position, drill the holes in here, and then put it through. You want to seal this down, make sure the water doesn't get in. Doesn't really matter what colour sealant you've got. In this case, I just happen to have some white. And I've got a circle around each of the pads. Screws back in. Line the holes. Turn it down. You want to get a good seal. Put a circle around the underside of there on your plate. And screw it down, it will seal beautifully. Right then, on the bottom of the pod on these, there's your mount, there's your through hole in the bottom. Transducer is the bracket that slides in, locks into place, you hear the possible click. That's the mount. For us, we're going to be mounting it that way, that configuration, okay? See, it sticks out a little bit, so we're going to get the alignment right. Obviously my boat's on trestle, so it's up out of the way so I can get underneath and have a look at the alignment. Been underneath, there was going to mark where the transducer is going to go. However, it's actually quite simple on this unit, because I'm going to try and position that in there. If you position it, obviously there's a nice channel here. That channel will enable you to route the wire up and get it out of the water line, so when you actually drill your hole to feed the wires through, be quite high. The best position for this is actually with the transducer mount flush to this lip here, because then when you mount it up and tighten it up, it'll actually sit there. Okay, I've actually decided I'm going to rivet this on. So I've got some aluminium waterproof rivets. I'm going to rivet it. So, get your centre line. I always suggest to drill in the middle if you've got a slot. Okay, through there. Hold the position. Over the side. Okay, so move it through. There we go, 3 rivets. Turn this round, look inside. Hopefully they're splayed enough. Yeah, splayed quite nicely. The reason I chose rivets in there is actually quite easy, and because it's quite, there's no real force on that unit because it's just basically sat in the water, shouldn't get hit by anything because it's up out the way. So rivets also, if they pull through, I can just put bigger nuts and bolts in. Whereas if the nuts and bolts pull through, I would struggle to fit it. So that's that. Okay, so get the Christmas tree, hole cutter, cone cutter, depending on what you want to call it. Do it up tight. Turn the unit upside down. Okay, Okay, you want this as high as you can to keep it out of the water line. We slide this back on the bottom. So back through there. Do that back up. Get the plug. So there's a lot of wire. Whatever you do not cut the wires. If you cut the wires, your transducer will be wrecked, and this is not covered by any warranties. Okay, so what we'll do now is feed that back through. All the wires will be out of the way. Get the length right, route one either side. However you want to do it, we'll actually use that channel there. Screw that down. Clamp blocks up. As you can see, this will go in keyed, so it will lock. Get in the right position. There we go. Right position, locked. That's locked. There is actually a top mark on it. I've just seen. Should have noticed that first. Screw that in. So there we go, that's fitted there. Just taking the unit out, tidy these wires up, might even put a little clip through there a bit later on, tidy them up. Also we've got a great big hole at the back. You try and get a bung in there, it can be quite difficult to do. Considering the bung is actually not going to take the cables. Best thing you can do is probably a bit of Silverflex or any of the marine sealants in there, fill that up. If you do that, make sure there's a little bit of slack in this. Because what this transducer does, once it's locked down, if something were to hit it, it would flip up out the way, so it wouldn't be damaged. It also, if it potentially hits something really hard, which it shouldn't do, it will pull the rivets out, but at least the transducer will be saved. That's why I've gone for the soft option, because the box is cheaper than the transducer. As you can see, it fits back in, drops in back out the way, re-secures perfectly. Okay, with the transducer, obviously we didn't mount it, so we'll mount it now. We get a few various components, a foam washer, a normal washer, it's actually rubber, sorry, and then this little keyed object. Keyed object goes into there, metal washer, and foam washer onto the bolt. Make sure you get the right way around. You'll see that the keyed washer has teeth on it which bite into the side. Push the bolt through, the nut goes into the captive nut well. Just do it up. Here it obviously it's a ratchet system, so get in the position you think you should have it in. You can always adjust it later. Up so it's tight, don't overdo it, it's non-foam plastic, so you don't need to overdo anything on these. Okay, basically there she is, it's fitted, locked down, and you have a feel underneath, that's actually perfect, that's routed perfectly down the middle. Okay, so now we're going to wire up the unit, fit the battery, and waterproof the battery into the unit. So first thing to do, obviously take your battery, 7 amp 12 volt battery, find a case, a box, waterproof box big enough for it, because the pod is not waterproof itself, so this box is a perfect fit. Obviously with it sealed you can't get the battery connectors in. What you'll find is in this unit there isn't the greatest amount of room, and you can put the battery in that way. Then because of these bolts, instead of cutting these bolts down, I lay the battery down in there, I can back it out with foam, it's quite well protected, and it gives me a sight of where I actually need the battery connector to come out. So I'm going to get mine to come out the front of the unit, somewhere around here. So put that to one side very carefully, take the battery out. To maintain the waterproof, this is a M16 by 1.5 compression gland. Get me old trusty Christmas tree drill, figure out roughly where I want to be. Okay, so about there. Take the battery out, drill your hole. Perfect. To one side. Okay, so there's my compression gland. Add a bit of seal on it on the back because it doesn't have a natural seal on these. And a nut. Finger tight, not much more, don't need it any tighter than that. Okay, undo the top. You'll see there's your battery wires. It recommends the unit is fused, they don't supply a fuse. So you need to have a 5 amp fuse, which in this case I have. A nice little 5 amp fuse holder there. It is waterproof but not to a stupid level. So this will be inside the unit. So what we'll do now is we will put crimps on this. Obviously there's my battery. My live, so there's my live connector. That's going to go on the end of there. So we'll strip the wire off the end. There's my battery live. Obviously with this connected to the battery, you're not going to want to hard wire anything in because you want to potentially better remove the battery from the system. And the only way to do that would be to remove pull the wires back through the gland. So the whole system here is going to be on quick releases. So what I've got, obviously this cable's a lot thicker as well. So I've got another crimp connector on the other side. So I'll strip that wire as well. So now that will connect to the battery. Right, what we can do now, crimp these up because these will still go through our outer gland a bit later. Before we do that, they have cut some wire off, but I just want to cut some insulation off. I just want to create a little bit more. Crimp it up. What you can do now is you can actually power the unit up. Connect to your neutral. Live. There the unit's here. Plug it in. Engage the back. Switch it on. Okay, here we go. Powering up beautifully. At this point you'll get the initial use installation guide, which I'll show you through how to go through now. Okay, what I've done, the hole we drilled in the back originally during the original installation, I've got a M20 by 1.5 compression gland, fitted it, bit of RTB, bit of sealant around it, put it in, tighten the lock nut for the back, so that now sticks out, still clears the inside of the boat, so there's no problem there. Right, so get your leads, you see there's an excess of cable, so if you basically find the middle of the cable, and slide this on, slide it on with the rounded edge going up the cable, because eventually that's going to be sat that way. Now get your compression glands, slide that up the cable, so it gets to there, get your battery fly leads, slide these want to go that way, so in through the top, plenty of room to give it a wiggle, so they're through the olive. Okay, Now, feed that into the unit. It will go, don't bend into too far, you can avoid it, pull it too tight, push it through, into the screw, open it up, take the kink out of it, pull the excess through, and get close, feed in battery wires, pull them through, there we go. Right, so push the rubber olive into the middle. Pull the cables through so that they're tight but not excessive. A little bit of slack in there, you can cable tie stuff up later. Right, so I think we need to be about there. So do the compression gland up. Eventually it'll tighten up, so my trusty Stilsons. Okay, as you can see, that's all compressed quite nicely. A bit of a twist in that unit, so I can untwist that. Just haven't done it out too tight on the inside. There we go. So inside, we've now got all of our wires coming out quite nicely. Right then, so now what we can do is actually do the final installation of the battery. So find your battery fly lead. What you do is coil these up, get them out of the way, so don't pack them too tightly. Got kinks in there if you can avoid it. Whatever you do, don't cut it. If you cut it, you have to replace the transducer because you can't splice it back in again. Okay, got cable tie. Got cable tie around it. Nice and neat. Got the battery fly lead. Slide the dome over the top. Find it easier if you can get one at a time in, if not, pop out the cable gland. So push the cable gland out. There we go. The cable gland, the cable gland will be a bit easier then. There we go. Just label inside. Push the both through the housing into the battery box. Okay, there we go. Slide the cable gland over. It up. Okay, nice and tight, no problem there at all. Now what we'll do is take our live connection, connect it to our fuse, get our battery, figure out where you want the cable to route. Yeah, need a little bit more cable in there. So there's my neutral, there's my fuse live. Okay, close my fuse housing, route it all nice and tight on the inside. In the middle, close the locks, Okay, now position battery in its holder on the side. Tidy your cables up. There we go. See. Tighten the cables up like that. Close the lid. Tighten it down. Okay. So now screw the Dragonfly head unit back on. Plug in your connector, turn your lock, power it up, and off you go. There we go. There is our completed unit, ready for fishing. Tight lines, everyone.